Here I am back on my YouTube channel with a bit of an update as to how things are going, particularly looking at, well, what I'm trying to advertise for people. I've named it Golden Years, because I'm a baby boomer, born in the 50s, and I think there's quite a lot of us probably on our own and needing that little bit of encouragement to go and enjoy life, maybe. I was always told, if it's something that makes you afraid, go and do it. That sounds a bit ridiculous. Why be afraid of doing something that you're meant to be enjoying? But sometimes it just takes that push. And I've been back on my own now. I was traveling on my own to start with in January. And that was all, well, I took a career break from work because of my age and thinking, I want to travel while I'm healthy. You know, yes, you can still travel with less ability, but it is easier. Believe me, I've had some trying moments when I've thought, goodness, I am struggling to do this, whether it's going up steep hills or just general fitness and carrying a bag and all the rest of it. But I want to encourage people, get out there and do it, whether it's traveling or just going out to meet people, full stop. Okay, I've decided to travel, and so that's what this is about, this YouTube channel at the moment. I'm sure I'll come on to other things after my travelling days are done, but at the moment this was a 4-month plan, and yes, I took a career break, and yes, it has been done on a budget. And that's the point. I want, you don't have to have a huge pot of money to go travelling further than Europe. So I've come to South America. I did the first month in January on my own, flying to Sao Paulo. Did Brazil, had all the heartaches and ups and downs of, as I said in an earlier video about VPNs on your phone, and credit cards, debit cards, digital or have them in your hand, all sorts of things. And these are things I can go back to and explain further if anybody wants to know. But at the moment, I just want to give it to you as it is, because I am loving life. This is great. I really have no regrets whatsoever. And I have now been back on my own again for 2 weeks. I had a wonderful friend that I used to work with 30 years ago, who at the last minute came to join me, and we did have some great adventures, and I've posted a lot of short videos on the YouTube channel, and the longs, which haven't been that long, a few minutes, just showing you my accommodation as we go along, because it doesn't have to cost a lot of money to be quite comfortable, to be honest. Yeah, there's been some places worse than others, and maybe a little bit more expensive. And when we've gone cheap, maybe we've gone too cheap and found ourselves in areas that when the taxi driver won't let you out because it's too dangerous, you have a quick rethink and get on the phone and book something a little more expensive where you're safe, which has happened to us. Anyway, now back on my own, I went from Quito in Ecuador, where I parted company with my friend. She flew back to the UK, and I then got a bus and went to Cuenca in Ecuador. It was amazing. I loved it. The bus trips I'm very used to now, and I do like the bus trips. And yes, I am a bus driver, and it is the joke, it's a busman's holiday, but I can assure you the buses here are really, well, there's no trains. So in South America, you take a bus or a plane. I can't afford a plane everywhere. I want to do it in shorter hops and plane flights. So buses has been the name of the game, and they are extremely comfortable. And you book your seat, and there's apps for all different companies, and off you go. You get what they call a half bed, lies back, nearly totally back, and it is really comfortable. I've picked some overnight ones because it saved me accommodation. And that has been, sometimes I've been pleased it's been at night, to be honest, because I haven't wanted to see the drop down the side of the hill in the dark. So there we go. So I went from Cuenca, which I really, really loved as much as Quito. I've got a lot of time for Ecuador. The weather was fantastic. I walked about with a parasol stroke umbrella because you didn't know which one it was going to be used as from one second to the next. I then took a bus to a town called Tumbes, Tumbes, which took me just over the border into Peru. And this was a total eye-opener. The bus, very kindly, I was the only person getting off there, dropped me bang in the centre because he said it wasn't safe to leave me at the bus station. It was too far to walk into the centre to find my accommodation. And there they left me on the side of the road at 11 at night, and it was not nice. It wasn't nice at all. I then quickly found that Ubers didn't exist, and there was a man with a tuk-tuk who was desperate to take me in his tuk-tuk to wherever I wanted to go, and I just didn't feel happy about it. So I hopped into the doorway of a hostel. It makes me laugh when I look back, but I just felt a little bit safer when I hopped into the doorway of this hostel. But the hostel was plainly not really a hostel, but more of a place where men go with ladies. And I quickly realised I was in the wrong place there. So I hopped out again, and by this time, I used the Wi-Fi in this hotel and managed to see that my accommodation was actually only a 6-minute walk. So off I went in the middle of the night through this town. It was a Saturday night, and it was just whistles and catcalls, and which I guess at nearly 70 should be I should be pleased for, but to be honest, I did feel a little intimidated and a little unsafe. But sure enough, 6 minutes later, I found where I was staying, and I walked into an oasis of an accommodation. Absolutely lovely. The reception, a chap on reception was really charming, and we spoke to each other through Google Translate on the phone. He showed me to my room, and he very kindly was going to carry my bag, which is 16 kilos, which is really quite enough in the heat up 4 flights of stairs. So I took one end and he took the other, and he wasn't happy for me to be helping him, but it was too heavy for me to carry up that far in that heat, etc. So there I was in Tumbes, and from Saturday, and I knew I wasn't leaving until Monday, which was when my flight was to come to Lima. Okay, so all I'm saying is, you don't know what's around the corner, and you've just got to hold your nerve, and, well, I have faith, so hopefully my little prayers all the way each step till I got to accommodation saved me. So then I was then left with Sunday. It was Saturday. It was Friday night, early Saturday morning. So then I had Saturday and Sunday to fill in this, what I have described as a Wild West town. I've taken lots of photos of it and posted them in shorts. And I was just in disbelief. There's houses made of bamboo. The places got rubbish everywhere. There was a lot of deprivation and homelessness. And then lo and behold, I go around the corner and find this brand new shopping centre. I'm not a shopping centre person, but it just felt like, wow, where did this come from? So I found refuge in there to go for a coffee. Finding a coffee in the town was difficult. As in, let's pop to a cafe and have a coffee and cake. That was never going to happen. But I found a KFC. So Kentucky Fried Chicken, thank you very much. I found myself there. I found myself in the KFC and had a couple of bits of chicken and felt a little bit more at ease. I actually then gradually loved the little town as I got to know it, and I decided on Sunday to go to the beach, which the lady on the reception told me it was a resort, because I did see a beach that was nearer, and I said, oh, could I get a taxi there? And she went, oh, I think you'd be better to go to Zorito. I've posted some short videos on Zorito. And she said it's a tourist place. Oh, I said, that sounds lovely. I'll go. Can I book a taxi? Oh, no, you don't need a taxi. You get the bus, the minibus from next door. So I thought, next door? Oh, okay. Went off to bed, came down in the morning and I decided to walk around the town. The weather wasn't that great, and I thought, well, we'll see if it cheers up enough for me to want to go to the beach. Long story short, it did cheer up, but by that time it was about 2:30 in the afternoon. Back down to reception. Where do I get the bus to Zorito's beach? Oh, next door, says the man. So, okay, so I go out, and there's a chap shouting, Zorito's, in the middle of the street. And I thought, oh, well, they must be going to Zorito's. So I walk across the road to this very nice looking minibus. And I said, you going to Zorito's? No, over there. So I'm pointed back into the other side of the street. I go to this garage. And the minibus is there with about 12 people in it. It seemed really full. I said, oh, it's okay, I'll wait. No, on. We're waiting. I gather, and nobody spoke any English at all, and of course my Spanish is non-existent. But I got the message we were waiting till it was full before we go to Zorito's. Okay, so I'd asked how much it was going to cost. It was going to be equivalent to £1. Right, it's about half an hour's journey. All right. Well, by the time we'd got another 5 people on and some bags, I was expecting, honestly, chickens and suitcases on the roof as well by this stage, but the heat in this bus was horrendous. It was so hot, I was dripping in sweat, just feeling not very sort of attractive and feminine, and it smelled in the bus, and I just thought, oh, what am I doing? Anyway, off we go. 45 minutes later, various stops of picking people up and dropping people off. I get to this holiday resort, beach resort, which it is not in my book. So I got out. The girl looked at me as if to say, you need to get out here. This is what you want. So I, oh, what, here? Yeah, okay. So I got out, handed in my equivalent to £1. I walked along this beach that basically, well, you couldn't stop anywhere to put your bag down because it belonged to one of the little eateries that was on that part of the beach. So move on. Anyway, I got so far down the beach and I just sat on a sort of pile of twigs and thought, well, here I am. Somebody's going to move me on in a minute. But I then decided, okay, let's go in the sea. It looks like it was lovely and warm, and it was lovely. But then this group of kids came along, and of course my bag's on the beach, and they're looking at it, and I'm like, oh, my bag's not going to be there for much longer. So these are the things that can be a bit of a downfall on your own. However, I didn't have anything of value. I had my phone, okay, which is of value as regarding getting me back to where I was or whatever. But do you know what? I have brought 2 phones with me, so it wasn't going to be the end of the world if the phone went missing. But I didn't want them to take my bag. I had my towel in it, and so I hop-skipped out of the sea again, and the sea was lovely, and thought, I think I need to stay with my bag. By which time it's about 5 o'clock, and I thought, do you know, I've no idea how I'm going to get back to Tumbes, because this bus that dropped me off was like so unofficial, this little minibus. I thought I need to start walking back along the road to find out where I can stop this bus, because it's going to be dark in about an hour and a half. Well, there's lorries coming past me, there's tuk-tuks coming past me, no pavement on the road. And I thought, I need something to eat as well. So I Googled restaurants. There weren't any. There were some little there were lots of little eateries along the roadside and the beachside. Nothing you would call a restaurant. And having just got over a very unpleasant stomach bug, I'm now a little bit fussy about where I'm eating, what I'm eating. So anyway, I went into this pizza place and ordered a pizza. It was taking so long. But I then decided I've got to bite the bullet on this pizza. I can't wait for it. So I just gave her the money for it, said I have to go for the bus. I did the Google Translate, where do I get the bus? And she went, it just stops. If you're out there, you just go out there and wait. Well, this resulted in me actually going outside, standing there thinking, is this bus ever going to come? I don't know. And then about 5 minutes later, this lady comes back out the pizza restaurant with a box with a lovely, beautiful pizza in it for me. And then this car swoops up and the door opens and she's chitter-chattering to whoever's there and pushes me into the car at the back door. What's happening to me? I don't know. So, I landed up travelling back to Tumbes. I was fine. This was some kind of unofficial taxi that people hopped out and people hopped in along the route. And I landed up giving the taxi driver half the pizza because I didn't want it, and I got back to my hotel room sort of a bit dazed, really. What a day. But this is what I want to explain. I am having such an adventure. I want people to have adventures and be, well, is it brave or is it stupid? There's always that question. But do you know what? So far, so good. I'm going to sign out now because I've now done 17 minutes, which I think is quite long enough of anyone listening to me. And I'm going to check out, and I'm leaving Lima on 2 days' time. Day after tomorrow I'm leaving Lima, and I'm heading up to the jungle, and I'm going to go and do some volunteer work. So I'm going to sign out on this long. If anybody's interested enough to listen to it all, that's great. Please press the subscribe button and pass it on to anybody else who needs a little bit of encouragement to go and have some fun. Okay, thank you.